I'm here. Hold on. Alrighty, I'm here. I think I look decent. Let's see if we can share this thing more live. Here we go. Time to get dressed. As you start teaching, of course, is the best time to finish getting dressed. All right, I'm excited for my topic today. Probably my favorite topic on earth. Inflammation and why, right? Rings, bracelets, rings, bracelets. What's the title? Here we go. Reset. Yes, I think we're in. Notes. Are we in? Are we in? Can you see me? Say hello. I don't know what all that means, people. I think we're in here. Hi. I hope my sound is working. Somehow I've been having technical difficulties in life lately. I don't understand why. I made the coolest video and my phone didn't record sound. How unnecessary is that? Goodness. All right, well, welcome everyone. My name is Dr. Shivani. Hopefully everything will stop beeping at me so I can focus on you guys. It's 6 p.m. So this is a new time slot for me to be teaching, but I hope it means that more of you can join me. Maybe you are cooking dinner and getting dinner together, or sitting down for your own meal. Usually this is when I'm feeding my children, but someone else can handle that today. So welcome. Today's topic is 6 ways to reduce inflammation naturally. And it's one of my favorite topics because inflammation is known as the silent killer. Like Time magazine years ago published, and the cover said the silent killer, and it had this image of fires. Let's see if I have my slideshow. Sometimes my handy dandy file, what is this thing called? My handy dandy pretty bookshelf is really a good storage unit sometimes of like my slides that I use in my talks. Ooh, I have some good ones. Oh, I have some good ones. Nice. Thank you, universe. I appreciate that. It's something working good for me today. So here's a slide on what I'm talking about, which is inflammation is like a flame or a fire. And so one example that they talked about was how there's a controlled fire. That's like your stove, your happy fall fire that we will soon have, soon enough. I don't know how that's a controlled fire, but maybe it's just sunlight. And then all of a sudden you have uncontrolled fire, like a stove fire that starts that's like all of a sudden scary and out of control. A house burning down, or like a kitchen that burnt down as well. Uncontrolled fire. And so when we talk about inflammation, what's important to know is that there's good and bad inflammation. Inflammation has a purpose. It has something that it's there to do. Oh, goodness, until I catch my breath today. I like ran in here. Inflammation is there to support us in many ways. But the problem is oftentimes, oh my gosh, thank you, I love you. Don't get on camera, thank you. My kid delivered me tea. I needed some tea. Oftentimes those uncontrolled fires cause a big problem. Oftentimes inflammation is just there to do a good job. But what happens is whether it is a weak immune system, whether it is leaky gut, whether it's a lymphatic system in a traffic jam, there can be a number of different reasons, why that inflammation can stay or become uncontrolled. And that's when it kind of starts to wreak havoc in our bodies. So let's say you banged your knee at the gym. It can totally happen. I don't know if you guys are klutz like I am. And you're there and it hurts and like you've got bruising and your body's going to send inflammation and all sorts of good stuff that way to fix it. But then what if like you're just like not healthy that week, you're under tremendous stress, you consume inflammatory foods, whatever the issue is, this thing doesn't heal properly. And because it doesn't heal properly, all of a sudden you've got this like lingering inflammation, and then it like spreads. That's what we call chronic low-grade persistent inflammation. And that is the culprit that leads to a lot of troubles in our lives. Now, before I get into the 6 ways to naturally heal it, I want to finish explaining it to you guys first. If you look at this slide, potential sources of inflammation, it's enlightening. I found this slide like mind-blowing when I first saw it. So alcoholic beverages, so unfair. Environmental pollutants, so industrial pollutants, diesel, acid rain, all problematic. Food factors, if your food is grilled, which I don't see the big deal, but grilled, fried, red meat can cause inflammation. Certain types of bacteria, viruses, cigarette smoke, stress, which affects our pH, hypoxia, heavy metals, chemotherapy. A lot of us have heavy metals in our body, whether it's from dental metals that we're putting in our mouth, whether it's from heavy metals in our water. There's many different sources of heavy metals. I know that I'm like high copper, and I discovered that like a couple years ago, and it's something I have to balance and deal with. Ultraviolet radiation, which we know that the ozone layer is thinning, and so this might be increasing and might affect some of us more than others. And that's pretty much the whole circle, but these are potential sources of inflammation. There's even more of them, inflammatory foods and things like that. So it's important to note that like sometimes when I speak to reducing inflammation through food, if you reduce the effect of these things on you, then that also can support you as well. Some of them are a little bit more out of our control. Some of them are more in our control. So for example, cigarette smoke, you can avoid it, or you can choose not to smoke or hang out with smokers. Red meat, alcohol, you can reduce it. Environmental pollutants, are there things in your home that you can change so you get less exposure to environmental stressors or pollutants that exist? Stress is a big one. Can we reduce stress in our lives? I'm going to talk a lot on that one today because it's a big one, a really, really big one. That's why I made this beautiful document on self-care, just to help myself reduce the impact of stress on our bodies. I'm going to jump in the group on my phone real quick and just make sure that I'm on in here because it's been a weird day for tech. Like I said, I record videos and then they don't record audio, so I just want to make sure. Yes, I'm in here. Cool. All right, I'll keep going. So let's also talk about the overarching ways that we can reduce inflammation. 6 ways, really. One of them is sleep. One of them is food. One of them is how you eat food. One of them, I mentioned environmental pollutants. Environmental pollutants also include what we put on our bodies. What are those potions and lotions that we're putting on our body? And how polluted are they? Are they full of too many chemical ingredients or not too many? And then finally, what are those herbs and spices that we can take right now that reduce inflammation? Y'all might know I'm the turmeric girl. I'm obsessed with turmeric and what it can do for us. And so it's so important to use things in the right way to support your body. Oftentimes we're all out there looking for those natural remedies to support our health, but are we finding the best ones? Are we finding the effective ones? Are we finding things that'll really move the needle, or are we just taking pills and hoping that they work? I remember years ago, the Wall Street Journal published an article that said over 75% of supplements in the big box retailers that were tested, they like took them off the shelves and tested them, and they were full of grass, rice, and wood pulp. And many of them were made in China. And since supplements are not regulated, we were just going into our CVS, Walgreens, big box retailer, wherever, Walmart, Target, picking stuff up and thinking, all right, it must be fine. It's a supplement. I'm going to take it. And it says vitamin C, 1,000 milligrams. I'm sure I'm going to get 1,000 milligrams or vitamin D or name anything. And that's not what we were getting. And I find that so atrocious and so unfair. When you're trying to take care of your health and you're going to invest in something, you want that thing to work. You want it to do its job. You're paying for it. You're making the time to take it. You're remembering to take it and swallow it, which I know many of you struggle with because I know firsthand about a lot of you guys and what you're trying to do. And that's not fair. I mean, even I don't remember to take all my supplements all day. And sometimes I dread it because I want to take like everything on earth. And who can swallow 20 pills 3 times a day? So the least we can expect is that if we're going to find something, that it's going to be of quality. And that's really my intention here is how do I show you guys some ways that you can really invest in your health, invest in things that really work, really move the needle, and really help you feel better. Because we're ending the year now. We're heading towards the end of 2020. It's Q4. It's end of September. We're almost at Q4. It's that time of year when typically I'm like, okay, what's coming up? Kids' birthdays, both October, Diwali, Thanksgiving, New Year's, all the fun happens right about now. And I don't know about you guys, but this is a very weird year, and I don't know how all of that stuff is going to play out well. I'm hoping and praying we can find a way. But knowing that it's the end of the year, I also typically sit down and say, okay, well, what were my goals this year? Typically, it's like look fit and hot and gorgeous by my birthday, which is in December, or by New Year's. It's certain business goals, it's certain health goals, it's I don't know. I mean, everyone has different New Year's resolutions and goals for themselves. But now is usually when I kind of sit down and take stock and try to figure out, okay, well, how close am I? What can I push for and try to accomplish in this year? And I know for myself, inflammation, pain, chronic pain, my immune system, these were all very important things to me. And it was important to me that I got them like on track. And I know when my health is like clicked into place and I'm on a good path. And I know the minute I click out of place. Like, I don't know if you guys have been to spin class before, but in spin class, you have to like click your feet into the bike. I'm renting a bike right now, so I know all about this. You click your feet and you're in it. Like, you're in it for that class, you're in it for that path. And then you have to like fight and click out. But the minute you click that foot out of that bike pedal thing, you're like off track. You're going to fall off, right? You're like wobbly. And so my intention is, how can I show all of us a pathway or a blueprint to have vibrant health and to have vibrant immunity? Like, I want an immune system that's so robust that it doesn't matter who has what cough and what cold and all that stuff, I'm fine. I have my father-in-law staying with me and he's super sick right now. And so as soon as I got a hold of him yesterday, I was like, here's your protocol. You're going on this protocol and you're going to nip this cold in the bud and I don't want to catch it. He's like, all right. And this morning he said he's feeling better. He's like, I feel much better actually. It's like, good. He's like, your stuff really works. It's like, thank you. It's good to hear. It's good to hear people say that because I know it works, but like the validation helps, of course. Someone else was sick starting Sunday, I think. And I went like to their door and dropped off a little care package and was like, here, can you please get better so we can hang out soon? But we're living in that time frame right now. We're living in that year called the pandemic, where if someone has a cold or someone has a cough or isn't well or is under the weather, like I know last week my lymph nodes started feeling like something's gonna start. And I know how to nip it in the bud and be done with it. And I think that now of all times, that's super important. We need to be able to just, I can't stop with this finger, nip things in the bud and be done with it. Over with the cold, over with the cough, over with the stupid sore throat or the sniffles or whatever it is that you're dealing with. Just so, first of all, we don't get the stink eye from the whole planet thinking that we have COVID. But also so we can just be our healthiest, vibrant selves and not be susceptible to catch other things. I know in my household, I'm super focused on everyone's immunity. Are you taking your vitamins? Are we eating enough fresh food? How is your gut absorption? How much raw are you eating? Everyone go to sleep on time. Like, I have a lot of agendas, but I find that if we don't get vigilant about our health in this year, we're not going to end up potentially in a good place. Now, can I guarantee that if you catch the viruses out there right now, it's not going to knock you off your butt? No, I can't promise. But I do know that if we have a strong immune system, if we have vibrant health, if we have that like capacity to run and exercise and be active, then we'll take this one in stride, just like we do so many other things. And on the other end, get back up and keep moving and be happy and be, vibrant and exercising and moving again. And that's my intention, is how can I show us that path? So I think I explained that one enough. If you guys have any questions, definitely comment below in the group. I would love to give you guys any support or any answers to any questions that you may have. Give me like a like or a hearts or thumbs up if you agree with my idea that like if we have the strongest, most vibrant immunity possible in this year, then we're supported for whatever comes at us, whatever stresses and things like that. I don't know about you guys, but it feels like one of those years. I've actually never had a year like this, but it feels like one of those years where each week there's like wrenches thrown in, and like there's no perfect. And finally, I've resigned myself to school's going to be what it's going to be, and I have zero control over that. And I have to learn to just be okay. Work life, there's so many things that we've had to just accommodate, and stress has been a huge issue. So we'll start with 6 ways to naturally reduce inflammation, and one of those is to reduce stress. Now, I think it's so much easier said than done. So for me to say, reduce your stress, it's so easy, and then you won't have inflammation, right? It's not an easy thing to change, but what are things you can do? Well, know what your comforts are and what your tells are. So for example, I'll give you a great example. My mom was here for knee surgery for 2.5 weeks. And it was stressful because she had a very strong allergic reaction to a drug. And it was one of those things where it was so complex and drug related. I almost couldn't like approach it from my angle. I had to like let it play out, because when you throw too many cooks in the kitchen, you cause more trouble. And I've seen that enough in my lifetime not to do it. So I was watching it, managing it, but truly I was just freaking out on the inside. I was sleeping in her room, worried like heck, worried we'd have to go back to the hospital. I mean, even talking about it stresses out my system. It was bad. And so I did the best I could. I did my green juice with sprouts with her. I mean, I had her on my turmeric. I had her on a really great probiotic that I like. I had her taking vitamin D, boosting the immune system. I was like trying to boost the system, make her walk. And I was trying to like do all the lighter things that I could do. Didn't touch it. Her rash got worse and worse. I have one big tell: nachos. If I like unconsciously walk towards the pantry and start reaching for a bag of chips, I've trained myself to say, why are you doing this? Why are you doing this? I also have a little bag of like Dove dark chocolates in my pantry. And sometimes I will walk there for it. But sometimes my brain is not saying, hey, you're stressed out. Hey, could you look for a different crutch? It's an unconscious walk towards, but I've trained myself in that moment to become conscious and say, what's really stressing you out? What's really bothering you? And then I can reframe and decide a different path. So sometimes I'll be like, I'm just stressed out over X. Okay, please put the chocolate down. Please put the chips down. Pick another option. I can either come upstairs and go to my meditation corner. I can call a friend. I can make popcorn. I can go for a swim. I can go sit outside and relax. Like, what is it that you need? Do you need silence? Oftentimes I just need silence. Go sit in your car, get the silence. But figure out your replacement. That's what I'm saying. Because what I have found is it ain't an easy year. We're gonna get stressed. The stress will impact your health, your immune system, and it can cause inflammation. And I'm one of those people, I do not want inflammation in my system. I know the repercussions firsthand. I have a family who's really suffered. Tea is one of my biggest replacements when I'm stressed. Say the topic is stressing me. I mean, if you're with me and you see me you wouldn't even realize it. But sometimes if I'm getting stressed out from the inside, I will just start to make my tea, sip my tea, enjoy my tea, enjoy the taste of it, center with it. I get to have tea. Isn't my tea amazing? This tastes so delicious. This is so warming. How lucky am I? I will go through a list, and the list itself will ground me and make me feel more centered. It'll relax me, because that's truly what we're doing when we're reaching for our crunch. Or something my girlfriends know about me is I'll say, look, retail therapy is cheaper than food therapy. And I say that because retail therapy is like, go to Home Goods and buy a pillow. Go to Target and buy something cute in the candle section, whatever section you like there. it's cheaper than eating X, Y, or Z and then stressing about how to, you know, burn that off or whatever that is for you, right? So it's just important to pick what it is you reach for with stress. Know this as well. When you reach for sugar, it's because you're anxious. So a lot of times I hear moms say, I'm just in the closet eating the chocolate. I can't stop eating the cookies. I can't stop eating the treats. It's perfectly normal. In Ayurveda, we teach that's just trying to cool down the system, cool down the anxiety, cool down the stress. So whenever I see that in myself, because I don't know why I got loud. Whenever I see that in myself, I'm like, whoa, you must really be stressed out or anxious about something. What's the deal? And I'll think and I'll be like, oh yeah, I'm super worried about my mom. That'll be a level 10 stress for me. My kid could do something that's stressful, but something happens to my mom, they're talking about max. There is no more stressful thing in my life than something happened to my mom. So of course the reaction is going to be larger. And when you catch it, you can say, okay, but she's fine. She's going to be fine. Why are we unwittingly, unknowingly stressing about something that you have no control over that's going to be fine, and you're stressing and trying to fill a void when, what's the point? What are you going to achieve here? So I don't want to belabor the stress point forever, but just know that stress causes inflammation. So if you ever find yourself in like a stress spiral, think to yourself, I'm causing inflammation to my system. I got to stop this. Nip it in the bud, replace it. Yoga, meditation, exercise, walking, running, getting outdoors. I mean, there's 50 ways to reduce stress. But I do think about it. Like I remember once I was on a train from Delhi to Bombay in India. And I'm from a family of like know-it-all smarty pants who everyone thinks they're right and everyone's an entrepreneur and no one really listens to each other. And I remember we were having this like massive fight, 10 of us, over like the order of the something of the trains and the plan. And I just remember going, stress. And I like backed out, stopped talking, stopped contributing, stopped being a part of it. I was like, stress causes diabetes, not doing it. And I learned from that moment on, I'm using the pencil. I learned from that moment on that I have control over allowing something to stress me out or not. I have that control and you have that control as well. So when you see a bunch of people getting into like heated topics, which will probably happen like a million times more from now until, I don't know, November 2nd, be like, not fighting with you people, not going to be able to change the situation. So I'm going to sit here and sip my tea. Like, obviously when we can make change and should make change, we should, but do we have to jump into every foray and you know, hash it out with everybody? Probably not. So just watch for that. It's especially in this year, I think we've probably all had such immense amounts of stress and stress points, and whether you've reached for alcohol, sugar, food, comfort food, baking, whatever you reach for in stress, sugar, it all took a toll. And now I think it's so important to make that effort to undo it. And I know oftentimes I preach about detoxing and people are like, oh, detoxing is so hard. And I get it, detoxing is hard. Sometimes I find detoxing is like you're trying to close this door on this like closet, you know, like as if you stuffed a toy closet for kids and it's like an avalanche of toys and stuffed animals and you just shoved it in and you're just trying to close the darn door and it's not closing because it's like too fat and trying to open and like too stuffed. That's how I feel detoxing is sometimes, when you're trying to like shove away all the unhealthy habits and foods you've been eating to date. And you're like, just stop, like stop calling my name. I want to be healthy. I'm trying to detox now. Like, just stop calling to me. And you're trying to like close it off and it's not working. Well, there's a reason for that. You eat sugar, it changes the gut microbiome. It changes your gut bacteria. Your gut bacteria is like, feed me sugar. And you're like, stop. It takes time. And so oftentimes when you want to detox or get on a healthy plan, it has to be done in a supported way. I myself sometimes can't do it. Like I have to sit down with myself and say, all right, all right, we're starting the detox, close the door. Like, it's a process. And oftentimes when I do my detoxes, I'm totally alone. And so I'm planning to build one for you guys where we can like support and love each other through it. Because if you're going to do it, you got to do it with love and you got to do it with support. That's how it is. All right, stress is my number one on my list to talk about for 6 ways to reduce inflammation naturally. Now let's talk about sleep. So because we're too stressed out, we're not sleeping this year. It's a really bad year for sleep. And even before the pandemic, last December, I did this really cool event around sleep and I did a talk and it was a whole thing with yoga nidra and all this stuff. And I realized then, I found an interesting little tidbit of research. I'm always like trying to understand everybody. I realized that men aren't sleeping well and they're keeping their wives up and the wives are complaining about bad sleep. Isn't that fascinating? So maybe the men are stressed, they're not expressing it, they're not talkers, they're not sharing it. They might not be reaching for all the foods because my husband complains there's no junk food in this house. He's like, this is ridiculous. I'm like, who needs junk food? You shouldn't need it. So they have no outlets. And then now you're in a pandemic, they're all trapped at home, can't go anywhere, can't hang out with their friends, no guy trips, nothing. And the sleep is being affected. So it's so important to find a way to improve sleep for both of you, or one will affect the other. There's so much I could say to sleep. Sleep is one of those things that has to be revered, has to be honored, has to be prioritized is really the word I'm looking for. I know for me, when I made a couple of videos on sleep a couple of years ago and I did all my research on sleep and we did a whole month of content on sleep, I started applying everything I taught and it changed my life. Like I prioritize sleep like I can't even tell you. I tell everyone in this house, 9 o'clock, I'm going to bed. I'm starting my bedtime process. And I start with my tea. My children know how to make my deep sleep tea. I got my heating pad, fresh pajamas, loose fitting clothing. Like I have a whole series of steps that lead to perfect sleep. Everyone knows I need my pillows and my body pillow. Sounds high maintenance. It's probably like 5 steps, 10 steps, but it leads to perfect sleep. And then I wake up refreshed. Like today, I woke up and went to the gym at 6:30. That's a new thing for me. I never, ever in my past could have woken up for early workouts. I was one of those people who, if you woke me up before 9, I was really, really, really upset. Like, how dare you wake me? And now I'm like, pop awake, happy at 6 a.m., ready to like rumble and do things. I'm like, oh, I could write. Oh, I could write content. Oh, I could go do these things. I'm awake now. And so I really encourage you to explore all the different ways that you could have better sleep. I use deep sleep tea. I use something called deep sleep formula because I created it and I love it. I use essential oils like a sleep oil by 21 Drops that I love. I use their spray on my pillow. I definitely use a heating pad every night. It's like my cue to my body that I'm going to warm up and get all cuddly and then go to sleep. But there's a lot of different tools out there. I have a ton from Ayurveda that are like amazing. I can't get into all of them today because I'll run out of time. But just know sleep can help reduce inflammation, partially because the body detoxes and helps clear out inflammation at night. So a lot of people who suffer from inflammation, for example, people with rheumatoid arthritis or osteoarthritis, any sort of chronic inflammation, people are suffering from a lot of autoimmune and chronic inflammation issues right now, especially now in this year due to stress and issues in the pandemic. But in general, people were suffering with them before too. You might be suffering and in pain all day, not able to handle the pain well. And then when you finally get in bed, you experience the pain because you finally stopped. You stopped moving and being busy and running around and all those things. And so once you start experiencing it, you're uncomfortable. Like I know when my mom was here with the knee, she couldn't sleep in her normal positions. She just tossed and turned all night. She was killing all of us with the tossing and turning. And because my bed was on the floor next to hers. And it's one of those things where that disruptive sleep that you have won't allow you to clear the inflammation and then you have it all day. So it's just so important to figure out what are your tools to dramatically reduce the inflammation. What are your tools to get out of pain? And then what are your tools to support yourself to have great sleep? So your body is not in this like cycle of pain, inflammation all day, eating comfort and drinking alcohol at night, in pain once you go to sleep, so you're in pain and can't sleep, bad sleep all night, so you're not clearing the inflammation, wake up with creaky joints and pain. I mean, imagine this circle. I know it firsthand. I see it in my family all the time. It's not fair. It's not a great quality of life. And so it's so important to invest in your health now. It's important to invest in vibrant health now, vibrant immunity now. It's while we're younger that we can put in this time for when we're older. And when we are a little bit older, why not take some steps for that vibrant health so we keep our function, so we keep our mobility, so we can move, so we can travel, so we can do all the things that we want to do, live the life we want. So that's sleep. Let me know if you guys have any questions on sleep. Sleep is like one of my favorite topics. I find sleep is like I already did a whole video for you guys on sleep. But sleep is one of those things you can do, like out of all the health things you can do, sleep is the easy one. Sleep is the easy one. Sleep more. It's easier than eating kale all day, eating broccoli and spinach all day, right? So just sleep more. You'll put the whole circle like back into balance. How cool is that? All right, food. I don't know why I love this pencil in my lecture today. It's so funny. I'm sure I'm going to hear about this from Maria on my team. She says I hold teacups like they're my security blanket. So today it's the pencil. I knew one of my kids was going to cry while I was alive today. I knew it. All right, food. The foods we eat can cause inflammation in the body. Fact. Interesting fact. Everyone has different foods that are inflammatory to their bodies. Fascinating, right? So I think watermelon and pineapple, really pineapple for me, it like makes me feel weird. It's probably a food that my body's intolerant to. I can easily take a test. Where's that test? I have a test in my home that I bought forever ago that I need to take. I promise I will take it. Called the Everly Food Intolerance Test. And it's important to know for ourselves, what are the foods really that we're intolerant to that cause inflammation in our bodies? For example, Kate in this group posted that she might be celiac. It's a big deal, huge deal if you can't eat gluten or anything similar to gluten. Some people could have that for eggs and not realize it. So oftentimes we're eating these foods and not realizing that they are inflammatory to us. Now, there's common inflammatory foods. Those are sugar, alcohol, gluten, meat, and dairy, top 5. So when people detox, I typically ask them to give up those 5. But there's others. Peanuts can be allergenic, eggs. So it really just depends on the person you're dealing with. And obviously you don't want to take everyone's food out of their hands, right? So the easier way to know is to take a food allergy test. And I'll even give you an example. A friend of mine, Dr. Susan Schiff, she's in Delray. She's my favorite acupuncturist on the planet. I love many others, but she's the person I go to for myself. Every pregnancy, every time I have any health issue, I can just go to her and she'll usually fix my problems. So she took something called the LEAP test a couple of years ago. I remember I met with her and she said, Shivani, I learned it's lime and bacon for me. And she goes, I didn't realize it. I didn't put 2 and 2 together. I think those were the 2 foods. I don't want to get in trouble for TMI. And she said, I gave those up and all of a sudden my body is so much healthier. It's like I cleared so much out of me. So wouldn't it be awesome if we all took a test this year and we all learned like those top 10 foods that are like in the red zone versus the yellow zone versus the green zone for us? Viome also makes a test for this, but it's like $500. Everlywell is like $250, I think. And I'm sure there's others. But I think it's so cool that we can learn what our body's intolerant to, because oftentimes we are on what I call a mono diet. People get on these diets where they're like, I eat blah, blah, and blah. I'm totally a culprit of this. I eat every day green tea, gluten-free cinnamon raisin toast with fresh almond butter. Easy. Every day I have tofu and poha. It's like my favorite dish. Every day I have another tea time with an apple. Every dinner I eat my Indian food. And it's like one of 3 lentils, one of 4 vegetables with rice because I can't have the tortilla. I even fall into ruts with my mono diet. But I also remember that if we can, like, not fall out of it, but if we can consciously decide to add variety to our lives, we're supporting our total nutritional spectrum. People say eat the rainbow. This weekend I went to Publix because my dear children were complaining to my husband that there's nothing to eat in this house because we were out of Munster cheese. Ridiculous. For how much food I order into this house, it's ridiculous. Anyone should complain. But they complained, and he said, we're going to Publix. The children need new foods. This is ridiculous. I think what he meant was they wanted more cheese and dessert and junk. So I was like, I have to come because I have to monitor. We're in COVID. You guys can't buy trash and put it in here. Certainly don't buy anything that's junky that I used to like in my life in a stressful year and put it in my pantry. So we went, and what I found fascinating is I typically don't make the time to walk all of Publix and wander the aisles. I'm like a run in, buy my 4 things, run out type of person. And so as I wondered, I was like, oh, like I looked at the tofu and vegan cheese aisle and I picked up some new things. I looked at all the juices and coconut waters and I did those. I went through the frozen check section and I picked up new veggie burgers with higher protein. But I was able to like read each label and I really enjoyed it because I was able to find some new amazing finds out there. I posted them on my Instagram for you guys to kind of see what I found. I found like a gluten-free pancake mix that was low carb but healthy but had protein. I was like, oh, I could have a pancake. That would be exciting. It's a new food, not on the healthy spectrum, but it's a new food. So it's important to add variety back. Now, those are more processed. I picked up like golden beets that looked beautiful. I picked up broccoli slaw that looked cool to eat with something. Like I picked up new vegetables, butternut squash, spaghetti squash that you can make spaghetti squash out of. I love that stuff. Or the other day I was at Sprouts and I picked up zoodles and then I mixed them with Rao's, I think Rao's vodka sauce or Rao's arrabbiata sauce. And it was so good. Like heavenly. Mixed with like a little butter and I don't even know, like cheese. Anyways, I digress. Obviously hungry, it's like dinner time and I keep talking about food. So it's important to add variety back into our diet. I don't know how to say that enough. Like we cannot forget that. Most of the time people get really, really stuck in like a food plan or a food rut or like, okay, you wrote this diet plan out for me, that's what I'm gonna do. And those things can really strip you down. Like they can really be nutritionally depleting. My father-in-law was sharing with me today. He's like, I feel weak. And I was like, that's a COVID symptom. And then he's like, no, it's like, I just don't feel like I'm nutritionally getting everything from my food. Like I shouldn't be this tired. And I looked at him and I was like, profound. That's a profound statement. Most of us in America have bad gut absorption, bad nutrition. Like no, we don't absorb the nutrition from our food. And I, of course, like I'm such a nerd. I was like, okay, so Dad, we need a gut protocol. We need a detox. Okay, you're too old. I'm not going to detox you. He's like 85 and not so willing. I was like, I'll do a gentle detox with a gut protocol. And then we're going to boost up the nutrients and we're going to give you sprout green juice. And then you need to eat more raw, Dad. He's like, sure, anything you say. You made me feel better yesterday. I'll do it. And then we were driving today and I was like, Dad, I need you to have ginger lemon tea every morning. And he goes, you know, I've read honey's good. I'm like, well, of course honey's good. It's a vehicle. He's like, you're so funny. Vehicles, like in Ayurveda, we have vehicles that help transport foods to a certain place to help get the results. And so taking honey or ginger lemon tea just helps it get to the gut, which is where you want it. So food, variety, don't eat inflammatory foods. Feel free to test yourself and know what foods are inflammatory to you. And I can go forever into food. There are food plans out of Ayurveda. There are how to eat guidelines. There are food combinations to avoid and to have. There are, there's amazing detoxes that you can do that would leave you feeling vibrant. There's like so much more, but start with those. We'll eventually get to the deeper, awesome stuff too. 3, I have a list I'm going through. All right, let's talk for a moment on the idea of a mindful medicine chest. You guys are going to see I'm doing a whole class on that next week. Mindful medicine chest is the idea that in our homes, we should always have at the ready all the things that we need to live a healthy lifestyle. What does that mean? Well, in your bathroom, do you have products that are full of chemicals and toxins that you're rubbing all over your skin? In Ayurveda, we teach that skin is the largest organ of the body. So right now, if you look at your skin, do you have like a vibrant, healthy skin? Is your skin glowing? Is it breaking out with like acne due to stress? Is it dry? Is it oily? Is it balanced? Is it young? Is it supple? In Ayurveda, we have stuff that helps with all of that. We have stuff that helps you stay glowing and healthy. Usually it's more natural. We want you to rub yourself with sesame oil and do things like that. So having a mindful medicine chest is really having all the stuff in your own, closet or your own bathroom that's more natural and supportive of the body. And then what do you have under your kitchen sink? Are you using toxic chemicals that are just becoming airborne and going in your body and harming you? Remember, environmental pollutants, inflammation. It's important to take a look at that and make sure that you're using clean products in your home. Then when it comes to your medicine cabinet, what's in there? Is whenever you have a stomach ache, do you reach for like Pepto-Bismol and I don't know, Tums and stuff? Or when you have a headache, are you reaching for Tylenol and Advil? When you have, gosh, it's cold. When you have, I don't even know because I don't reach for anything. Gosh, every time we have medicine in this house, it expires and I have to throw it in the trash. So we don't keep medicine anymore. Like if you need something, you have to go buy it. But instead of that, could you have a cabinet where when you open it, you're like, oh my gosh, Dad, you have a horrific cold. Let me give you some really potent turmeric, a super high dose vitamin D. Here's the best probiotic, emergency that's bioavailable. Let's get a couple thousand milligrams in the system quick. Here you go. And then by morning, he's like, I feel better. And by midday, I feel even better. Can we have those supports ready for us in our home, in our supplement cabinet that'll just help us turn the corner fast, as opposed to, oh, I woke up with a cold, let me see how I do. Like, I'm just gonna keep, I'm not trying to make fun of someone. Let me just keep running around and doing what I'm gonna do and hope for the best. Even I do that. Sometimes I catch a little cold and I'm like, oh, I don't have time for that. I really don't. I'm just gonna keep going. That usually doesn't work. Usually we need to be mindful, have a mindful medicine chest, quickly support the body so the body can kick out that thing, that invader that should not be there. And then keep rolling on your merry way because you balance the system, right? So speaking of mindful medicine chest, there are many herbs and spices that are so potent for the body, and I'll leave you after this one for all the 6 natural ways to reduce inflammation. Some of my favorite herbs and spices are turmeric. Turmeric is anti-inflammatory, antioxidant, antiviral, antibacterial, antifungal, and it's an immune support. It's a vasodilator and it's immunomodulatory, but it does so much for the body that I think it does everything. Like anytime anyone has a problem, I'm like, take your turmeric. I also created a turmeric supplement that I'm obsessed with because I was like, I need to make one that actually works. I'm not buying crap from the stores. I have another herb I love, boswellia, that's very effective for helping to reduce inflammation as well. What else is there? Even ashwagandha can help reduce inflammation in the body. Even an herb called triphala, most people have not heard of it, but triphala is actually a mixture of 3 spices. And triphala is something we take that helps with gut health. So it's like a very simple, easy thing that helps with gut health, which helps with inflammation. What else do we have? Those are the main ones I can think of. Turmeric being the most powerful at reducing inflammation, triphala, yeah, those are pretty much my favorites. And I find that if you can take them in there, obviously, I mean, there's, like, I'm talking to you guys as if I've like talked to you for weeks, and I have, but I shouldn't assume that you saw all the past videos. So when you have spices, you can take them in their raw form, their powdered form, or their extract form. And it's so important to know which one to take in what form. It's so important to make sure you're taking things in the right way to get the support you need. Oftentimes the extract form is the most potent, but I also think it's so important to have these spices at home. You can make so many amazing teas just out of like cumin, fenugreek, coriander, having turmeric, or having its extract curcumin at home to make your golden milk and make things like that. Tonight I'll be making golden milk for my father-in-law because he's not well, and that'll warm him up. But instead of giving him regular turmeric, I'm going to open a turmeric gold capsule in there, make it like 20 times more potent, probably 2,000 times more potent, so that he'll actually reduce that inflammation and get that warming feeling and get that support. There's so many ways to support the body, and I find that herbs and spices are one powerful way to get there. Are there any others? Even cherries, we've read, are very good for it too. But there's so many ways to reduce inflammation in the body. Detox, eat well, sleep well, reduce stress, have a mindful medicine chest, have a really healthy home in terms of laundry room, medicine cabinet, bathroom shelf, supplement cabinet, all of that, the things that you reach for. So your body's already supported from the ground up, and you don't have those environmental pollutants that are harming you from the outside. And then using herbs and spices to support as needed. So that's it for now. That's my 6 ways to reduce inflammation naturally. I hope you enjoyed this tonight. I actually had a lot of fun teaching to you. I don't know why I'm in such a fun mood today. I'll end this with 2 cool slides since I have them here. So fascinating. I've done so many talks on curcumin, so I have cool slides. So this one, inflammatory targets of curcumin. I hope this is not backwards for you. Basically what it says is curcumin, which is the extract of turmeric, bonds with all of these different targets in the body. Interleukin 6, interleukin 1, NF-kappa B, TNF, that's necrotic factor, NF-kappa B, all of these different targets in the body that help us reduce inflammation. So basically what this is saying is curcumin will bond to everything, and thus it will help reduce inflammation. And then here's NF-kappa B. So fascinating. I love science. I'm such a dork. All right, I hope you guys enjoyed that today. I hope it was enjoyable. I hope it was interesting. If you have any questions, post them below. Inflammation is one of my favorite topics to speak to, because if we can reduce inflammation, we can have vibrant health and vibrant immunity. Have an amazing night, y'all, and I'll see you soon. Bye.